What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the podcast. Hope everybody's having a great day. Back here, it's muggy. It's a weird way for May to wrap up in terms of just weather-wise, because I hope everyone's enjoying their Memorial Day weekend. But I know over here on the east side, got some rain. It looks sad outside. But me, as just a fan of sports in general, I am very, very much happy. And yeah, we're gonna talk about certain things, and a couple of those things is we really still betting up against LeBron here in 2021, man. Like, it's 2021 and people still haven't learned. So that's one thing we gotta talk. We gotta talk about Jayson Tatum. Of course, come on now. And then we gotta talk about we got some other things to talk about, but pretty much the grand gist of stuff would be Jayson Tatum and LeBron. But if there's anything else that we need to talk about, we will be sure to do that today. But before we get into talking about Jayson Tatum, is he a legit superstar now, and with the whole Lakers and Suns thing, and I do believe they do play tonight. I know the Celtics do play tonight. A team that isn't going to be playing tonight is the Miami Heat. Miami Heat, the first team eliminated from the playoffs, and to my knowledge, other than the Wizards, I don't know how the Wizards will play out and come game 4, but as of right now, the Miami Heat's the only team right now who went winless. They got swept by the Bucks, and I even told Gianni this last week. Giannis better have not. Here's the thing when it came to talking about Giannis and his comments and whatnot before the series went in and all that. And 4-0 sweep. And before we start talking about Miami side of things right now, but we got to talk about. I was more expecting the Bucks. They needed to win this series because they're kind of have at the point that they really have no choice to play. Like, they have to be contenders. It's either contend or just blow it all up, because you got an all-world player in Giannis, and then you got pieces around him. It's like those are championship style pieces. You brought in Drew Holiday and all those guys, and that the whole crew they got over there. So I wouldn't even say try to get to the conference finals, but I mean, it's kind of like you gotta show people that you can get back there and even make a finals push, because at that point, it's eventually people are going to start calling into question Budenholzer and how the whole organization is ran. So yeah, I would have thought Mike Budenholzer would have been in the hot seat if they would have lost the series. But hey, that goes to show they made a statement being like, hey, yo, we ain't playing with this, So the Bucks, they came with the smoke, and they said they got no problem. So yeah, Miami's out. And this is crazy to think about. In all the years Eric Spoelstra has been a head coach, this is the first time he has lost. Well, his first time his team's ever been swept in any playoff matchup. So I'm like, damn. Well, that just goes to show how good of a coach Eric Spoelstra is. The fact that he's been to the playoffs so many times, and the fact that he never once got swept. But yeah, it's kind of people are having their fun on Twitter and whatnot when at the Miami Heat's expense. And shoot, me being a Celtics fan, I got really no problem, And I mean, hey, but it's all. I just try to do it for the fun of it and all that. I don't throw no slander on other teams, especially how my team was playing throughout the year. So, but I mean, shoot, it's funny that it's somebody else is gets the short end of the stick when it comes to they got their comeuppance, but who knows? But in terms of the off season for them, in terms of what they can look at, we gotta kind of expect Miami to make some moves, if not make a big move. And I know people were saying Oladipo was hurt and this, that. I'm gonna be honest, that wouldn't have did anything. I like Oladipo, but if it was Indiana Pacers, breakout most improved player Victor Oladipo, if he never got hurt, that's one thing. But quite honestly, if he really never got hurt, I don't think they would have traded him anyway. But yeah, Oladipo wouldn't have done a whole lot, and that's just my personal opinion. They might have maybe gotten a win or something, but I don't know. Would it have really changed? The Miami would have won? No, not really. Y'all really got swept. You're trying to that's. You think adding Oladipo is gonna make it, if it was I don't know, if they went and signed Kawhi Leonard next offseason, if Kawhi even became a free agent, obviously it would be a different story if Kawhi was on that team. But But yeah, but we got to talk about that whole Oladipo, good player, but that wouldn't have changed much, and it exposed Miami. Do I want to say the finals run was a fluke? I don't know. You know, it's like I don't want to. I know a lot of people are just quick to assume that and this, that, and the other, and yeah, even me being on the, it kind of exposes them. Do I want to say it was a fluke? I mean, shoot, like when it came to the Eastern Conference, it was like people were probably more expecting the Celtics to go crazy, make it to the finals after after the Bucks went out and this, that, but it wasn't like I don't want to say that it was a fluke, but I mean it puts it into perspective. And people say it's a fluke, and then people turn their attention to the Lakers and saying that's a Mickey Mouse ring and whatnot. But yeah, that really goes to show. That really opens a lot of stories going into next season. So it puts a lot more pressure on Tyler Hero, puts a lot more pressure on those guys to try to get that chip off their shoulder. And maybe I feel Miami teams, when they have something to prove, then they play. I want to say they play better, but they seem determined as a team. But we just gotta see if But it kind of really puts it into perspective. A lot of people are very quick to say that it was a fluke and this, that. They were hoping for something like that to happen. So, but yeah, they really ran it back with the same team. Like, yeah, you brought in Oladipo and Ariza. And yeah, like Oladipo, he's out, and who knows if they even bring him back. But quite honestly, I think Oladipo may want to go back to Miami a lot more than Miami may want to keep him. But shoot, you never know. But yeah, do I think it was a fluke? Not really. But I mean, was it? Because when it comes to getting into finals, you have to have a great run of excellent play, some guys that you wouldn't expect to step up. And just like all overall big games and whatnot. And we can't say, like, you can't take that like, people were so quick when the Miami Heat made it to the finals, like, oh, these guys are the real deal, this, that, and then it's funny how a year changes everything, you know? So, I mean, there's really no excuse for either one of those teams. Oh, injuries, it's a short layoff. I mean, the Lakers are in the playoffs, and they're battling with the Suns right now, and like, it seems like as of right now, it seems like the Lakers are in pretty good shape to take the series in a few days, but we just gotta wait and see. But I don't want to throw so much disrespect on Miami. They got a good thing going. They just gotta really should open their eyes. Really definitely puts more pressure on Hero, Duncan Robinson, Jimmy, all those guys. Now they got a chip on their shoulder. Now they got something to prove. So I'm wondering what they'll do next season. Will they make a big trade or get a big fish in free agency? I don't know. Maybe it's Miami. And I mean, certain players like that kind of weather. It's funny how people talk about Miami as a small market team, though. That I don't believe that at all. I really don't. That's just weird. But they'll be all right. Especially and I can't wait to see come next season what the interpretation and how people are going to view the perception, I should say, of the Miami Heat come next season, depending on the moves they make, because that's pretty much going to be their reputation right now as being a fluke finals run and all that. It's like, yeah, you can say it's a fluke, but I mean, hey, they toppled the Bucks. I mean, they beat the Celtics pretty much on that Bam block. I kind of felt like it was like, you know, but that's the thing. It's like we can't. Like, even put it into perspective now, it's like, again, I'm on the fence about it. I'm not so quick to call it a fluke, but I mean, it doesn't look good that y'all got swept by the same team you beat. And even then, Giannis wasn't playing half that series anyway, so because I believe his ankle problems or whatnot, and then talking all that talk. So, I mean, hey, you got to come out and really show out next year. But that's all as much as I'm going to say about that. All I know is it kind of put a smile on my face seeing them go down and lose a series. So it's fun to see. Just fun to sit back and just take it all in. Just see how people react and whatnot. Really, it's fun. It's fun. That's one of the perks of being a fan. There you go. But yeah, like I mentioned before, we got the Lakers, and it's the Lakers and the Suns, and I don't remember my predictions last week. I want to say it was the Lakers. I think that's what I wanted to say. I'm not exactly sure. I would have to get back to you guys on that, actually. Yeah, so I was saying that I had Phoenix versus Denver. I'm still confident in my Denver prediction, and I'm confident in the in Utah, because I feel Utah should probably go. But when it comes to seeing how LeBron plays, like the thing is with LeBron, we cannot be counting out LeBron. And I said this, like, yeah, and this was before CP3 had his injuries, and this was and yeah, we just weren't going to be too super sure how LeBron played. But when it's a callback, because I remember talking about this last week. It's like, if LeBron, what I pretty much was saying, I don't find it very, like, I wouldn't be surprised if LeBron found a way. And people were always so quick to put, like, when LeBron's back is against the wall and people are expecting them to be like, oh, you got to be careful of this team, you got to be careful of the Raptors, you got to be careful of the Pacers, you got to be careful of Golden State back in 2016 and whatnot, and the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals and all that. People seem to forget that LeBron James is LeBron James. Like, LeBron's going to do everything in his power to try to help this team win and try to get his team back to the promised land. And yeah, it's just crazy now, because just imagine it kind of sucks more for Phoenix, because yeah, it's like, oh, the Lakers have all the pressure and whatnot, but say the Lakers are doing what they're doing, and the Lakers are up in the series, and they could easily be up 3-1 tonight, and what does that really show to Phoenix? It's like, you tried so hard to become a really good regular season team, and then you guys get bounced out in the first round. I mean, hey, it was already a win of a season, because you guys finally made it back to the playoffs, and you got Devin Booker to some playoff action and whatnot. But I don't think it would be super quick to, like, oh, we gotta do this. I would say try to run it back, but you definitely gotta have to find not a super long term solution at point guard, because if CP3 comes back, then all right, you guys can run it back and get some more pieces, have the young guys try to get a little bit older. But the fact you guys made it to the second seed in the West, you kind of drew the short end of the stick. I'll use that metaphor again when it came to playing the Lakers. And yeah, it's just crazy to think about. Like, the playoffs have been a hell of a watch right now. And yeah, it's like, it's a lot. I feel a lot more pressure will start going back on the Suns, being like, hey, you guys are the number two seed. I'm not going to give them a pass, because yeah, you guys already had a win of a season, but now it's time to go out and do more. You guys, I feel people think that Phoenix maybe was overachieving, because again, people still try to doubt Chris Paul, but also it comes to doubting the guys that have been paving the way, doubting LeBron, and then doubting Chris Paul Chris Paul at the beginning of the season, like, oh man, Phoenix may do some damage, but I don't think anybody was thinking Phoenix was number 1, number 2 seed in the West. And then, I mean, shoot, nobody was thinking the Lakers were going to be number 7 seed in the West either. But hey, that's just how things go. So Ayton's got to play a whole lot better when it comes to containing Anthony Davis and whatnot. But even in the first couple of games, AD hasn't been playing all that well. But the focus comes back to LeBron, because people, I would say, I'm just going to say this, just to cap it off. Do not bet against LeBron James. If his back is against the wall, you best believe LeBron's going to show out until the day he retires, until he's not playing the game anymore. And I've learned that from experience, being a damn Celtics fan. So on many occasions, him in Miami and him in Cleveland and his last year in Cleveland and whatnot. So it's really interesting to say. I wonder what's going to happen, just like everybody else. But don't be so quick to count LeBron and that Lakers team out. But yes, bringing up the fact that I'm a Celtics fan, and said Celtic that I'm going to talk about has dunked on LeBron in the Eastern Conference Finals at 20 years old. Yes, it's Jayson Tatum. I can't not talk about Jayson Tatum, especially what he was doing a couple nights ago. Like, I remember saying this. It was saying that Jayson Tatum just got to show out and prove to people why he's legit. And the question I posted earlier is Jayson Tatum a legit superstar? Are we gonna start looking at him as a real superstar? And I say yes. And I'm not putting any bias between it. It's because it's at that point now. If he wasn't a superstar already, he's definitely one now. After the series, just prove to the world why. Just tell the world that you're coming. And then when Jaylen Brown comes back and whatnot, you guys start just wrecking havoc on the league for years to come. Because Jaylen Brown's only gonna get better. And then Jayson Tatum, the dude is nowhere near his prime. His prime, when people say prime, it's 27 to 30. And quite honestly, some of these guys like Kevin Durant and the James Hardens of the world are really, those are guys that those all-world players being age is just a number. My prime is my prime. And LeBron is 36 years old, and dude's still putting up 25 points per game. Crazy. But that just goes to show. But it's just crazy to think if Jaylen Brown was in this series, it would make it a whole lot more interesting. But yeah, when it comes to, my thing is, don't trade. If you have anything to help it, do not trade either one of those guys. Because Jaylen Brown's only gonna get better, and Jayson Tatum is just gonna. Jayson Tatum's the future MVP of the league, and this dude is proving that tonight. Well, he's gonna prove. I feel he's gonna have another big game. Especially, I'm just saying, don't lose in the Garden. Do not lose in the Garden, especially when there's probably gonna be a full capacity crowd. I know in Boston is the COVID restrictions for sporting events have been lifted and whatnot. I know for the Red Sox game, it wasn't at full capacity, but it was allowed. It was no restrictions, so you just see everybody that was there. It was probably just because of the bad weather. But I feel the TD Garden night is just going to be packed. Absolutely. Just mass hysteria. And, Kyrie probably thought the boos were bad at first. But just imagine with a full arena of people that you haven't seen a full capacity crowd in well over a damn year. But just still talking about Jayson Tatum. Jayson Tatum, just go out there and prove that you belong. And this dude put up 50 and he did half of what Kevin Durant and James Harden combined for. The Nets had 119 points. I believe we won by 6, so 125 to 119. And Kevin Durant and James Harden combined for 81, I believe, or something like that, something crazy. And Tatum had 50. And then you had Kemba Walker, who's the second best player on the team right now. Well, not in this series. This is definitely Marcus Smart, but. Yeah, Kemba had about 4 or 6 points, but he had 8 rebounds and whatnot. I need Kemba to. I would just like for Kemba to step up, please. That's all I'm. We need to see something, man. We got to see something from Kemba. We got to see that old Kemba come back, because, like I said, I don't think I feel Kemba's days in Boston are numbered, and I do like Kemba, I really do, but. It's just very disappointing and sad to see a dude that we all know. I feel people have such a problem with how Kemba's playing because we know he can be a whole lot better, and he's absolutely a way better player than what he's showing on the floor this past season anyway. But shoot, if he were to stay and he don't get traded in the offseason, then I sure hope Kemba just comes back and just shows out and just proves to the world why he's still that dude, But I would love to see this series go 7, and by all means, if it goes 7, I would say we overachieve. We're definitely rising up above expectations for everyone, because people were so quick to count the Celtics out, being it's probably gonna be maybe 4 or 5 games, but we just gotta wait and see. But yeah, the fact that the Celtics could manage a bombardment from Harden and KD. But it's just, you gotta just wait and see. I just gotta hope that if everybody's clicking, they just gotta play great. And do I say, I would like to hope this series goes 6 or 7, because at least then you can lose with your head held high if that's the case. Just don't lose in the Garden. That's all I'm asking for. But yeah, NBA basketball has been really fun, and yes, things been crazy. And I forgot to mention at the top of all this is that it's pretty much been around a year since this podcast first started. I believe it was around this time last year, and it's crazy how, or even if it wasn't, it's very, very, really puts things into perspective when it comes to doing things like this. And I don't know, there's still definitely things that like I need to work out and whatnot, things that still need some work to be done. It's getting close. June 7th. It's I believe it was the first date of our very first episode anyway. So it's not going to be the exact year, but who knows? Well, I may have something planned or whatnot, but we just got to see. But it's fun to think about, and it's fun to think about the future. Like even a year to see how things have kind of steadily improved. Maybe not to the progress I would have liked, but it's still progress nevertheless. And it's only going to just take bigger and larger strides going forward. But yeah, it's fun. It's fun to talk about. I know there's like times things seem sporadic and whatnot, but I feel that's a good thing, at least right now anyway. But yeah, NBA basketball tonight, and then yeah, even some other things like Fernando Tatis Jr. is, quite honestly, I can even go on just a whole spiel about how nasty this dude is. Last night, man's tied up the game with the Houston Astros, hitting an absolute nuke to Houston's over the Crawford boxes into the tracks out in left field. And yeah, just I don't even want to like dive too much into it, because I can even go on a whole like 20-minute 30-minute like tangent about how like Fernando could be like the successor to Mike Trout and whatnot, and just seeing how things are in baseball right now. It's very alarming though when it comes to the league, in terms of how the players have been, how the hitters have been anyway, with the changes of the baseballs and whatnot. I know they were trying to like a lot more dead baseballs, I guess, because last year baseballs were flying absolute, like going to the moon and whatnot and orbiting the moon, and that's pretty much how far some of these baseballs were going. But now I feel hitters, it's like this season in particular, it's a lot harder to be a consistent hitter for the average hitter anyway, because I believe the average batting average for the league, average team anyway, is like in the 220s or 230s, and that's bad. And you got some teams like Seattle and whatnot batting under 200. That's below the Mendoza line. And if you guys don't know what the Mendoza line is, I believe there was a player, and I believe his name was Raul Mendoza Jr. And pretty much he played for the Seattle Mariners, I believe, in the 80s and whatnot. And I believe they got him from, well, he was from Mexico, from my understanding. And yeah, let's just say he wasn't a very good hitter. In fact, I believe he might have been the worst hitter of all time, at least to my knowledge, because this guy could not hit at all. He had a semi-decent glove, but dude was absolute garbage at the plate. And yeah, I believe he had a career batting average under 200, or at least he had the lowest batting average of any player kind of like that. But I think that honor belongs, or dishonor I should say, belongs to Chris Davis of Baltimore. But yeah, pretty much Raul Mendoza, he was I don't believe his name was Raul Mendoza. In fact, since we're here, I should probably make sure I get his name right. Yeah, it wasn't Raul Mendoza, it was Mario Mendoza. But yeah, alright, so I'm sorry about that. But yeah, long story short, man, wasn't a good hitter at all. So the fact that teams are batting that low, that is bad. And I feel that's definitely something that I won't even say the league needs to look at, but it's something that those organizations really need to take a strong look at. Because when you really think about it, I grew up playing baseball for, like, I had maybe 10 years, or no, not even 10 years. I definitely got like maybe 15, 16 years of baseball under my belt. And I always grew up like not even hit for average, but make good contact to the baseball and just you just want to play it up the middle, you know. And when it comes to things like that, I feel like these hitters today, they don't play with that kind of mentality. Level swing always try to go up the middle because that's the hard. You can't really play for that. Like, yeah, if you do the shift and whatnot, but if you're able to go up the middle, you can just start spraying the baseball over the field, so they can't put a shift on you if you're playing up the middle. Because if you're trying to get that level swing going, then you can be able to spray the ball to the opposite field and be able to pull it and whatnot. And I feel that's what hitters are lacking, and they try to do this whole upward swing to try to get launch angle and whatnot. The great players, those absolute all-world great players, those guys like the Ken Griffey Jr.'s of the world, the Alex Rodriguez's and the David Ortiz, and those guys, Derek Jeters, those guys play with that kind of level swing, and that they have that swing that works, like Mookie Betts and a Mike Trout. Those guys can get on base. But it's crazy how strikeout numbers are going up and home runs are going down, and like they say, oh, it's like the era of the home runs and whatnot. It's like, yeah, that whole upward swing, like if somebody gets you on a fastball up, you're never gonna catch up to that thing because you're trying to do a whole like upward swing, so you're trying to like they're chopping at it and whatnot, so it makes them it's just not good. But hey, shoot. The old saying is chicks dig the long ball. So I would just say I would like for most of these players, the average hitter, to kind of rework their swings. That's all I can say about that. A little tangent, but follow by example of the Mookie Betts and Tatis, Trout, all those guys. You see how they become great. So you got to just apply that to your game. Not even exactly like their actual routines and whatnot, but you see what they do and you see how they get better as hitters and whatnot. Actually take the time to get in the cage, not worry about trying to send the ball 400, 500 feet. If you know your swing, you just really got to like if you just know your swing and you have good technique and whatnot, like that stuff will really not be a problem for young ball players and even people in the majors right now. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Actually, it was actually a lot longer than I was expecting, but hey, I had a good time with it. I hope you guys did too. Hey, NBA playoffs, baseball is about to be baseball's in full swing and all that good stuff. I hope all you guys are staying safe out there. We're trudging along, getting close to 1 year with this podcast, and it's exciting to see how the future is gonna treat me. So, hope you guys stay safe out there. See you guys soon. Love you guys.